Hey, everybody. Welcome to DSI Live. I'm Vanessa Emerson, your host. Excited to be here with our friend, John Stamper. Welcome, John.
Hi, Vanessa. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm really looking forward to this. Excited to share. So, there's so much content. There's so much to share today of what you're doing and how these types of services can help dental speakers grow their businesses. So I'm really excited. And I know that we have some fans out here in our group because so many people met you at Jumpstart in January, which was really a fun experience. And you really helped elevate our conference by Facebook Live and the recordings that you did. So thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure. I think, I share with a lot of people. When I look back at this year, it started at your event, and so namely called Jumpstart, right? Not only I think that it jumpstart for what we've been doing, but certainly for all the people that attended. So, I love being there.
Well, thank you. You did a great job, and we are looking forward to seeing you again in the coming January as well for an even a more elevated level of service that we have pulled together.
You're taking the next level, and we're going to be there with you. So
that's awesome. Well, I just kind of bypassed the introduction. I want to kind of circle back to that, but I do think that a lot of people know who you are, John, what you're doing now, but they might not know how you got here. So could you give us just a real quick 2-minute version of the John Stamper story? And in the meantime, I see we have some viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. I would love for you to comment, say hey to John, and welcome. Thanks for being here. So John, tell us, how did you end up here? What is that road?
Well, I'm just going to get right to it. It started in 1974 in Akron, Ohio at 6:30 a.m. on July 20th. That's where it all started, right? And anyways, I'm an Ohio boy and born and raised. It was a great place to grow up. Fast forward a little bit, right? Because you said 2 minutes. Let's talk dentistry. I guess high level, Vanessa, just about 16 years, almost 17, pretty crazy. And I started with a company called Brasseler USA. I was a sales rep. I sold dental handpieces, California, Las Vegas. Then I moved to the Midwest, regional manager for Brasseler, moved to their home office and got an opportunity down there to work and build an inside sales team and things like that. And great experience on what I like to call the manufacturer side, right? The company side, calling on dental practices, meeting with key opinion leaders. I mean, I was so blessed. I had the opportunity to go and to Frank Spear and Dave Hornbrook, so many of these key opinion leaders and work with them and do things with them, which is a great experience there. Then left there, moved to Louisville, Kentucky, where I went on the other side of the counter and worked for Mortensen Dental Partners, an awesome dental service organization in Louisville, Kentucky, started by Wayne Mortensen. And that gave me the opportunity to work with the dentists and the teams and get their perspective, right? What are their challenges? How do they grow? Things like that. And then something very weird happened, right? All of a sudden I woke up one day and it was I woke up with a cold entrepreneur, right? I need to go something and start a company and do something crazy, right? And so that's kind of where it all started. Started a company called the Dental Exchange. And the big draw to that initially was a tracking tool to help track continuing education for the dentist and hygienist. I worked with a couple of hygienists that got audited. They didn't have their certificates, and I thought there's got to be an easier way to do this, and that kind of evolved and went down that path. And over the last couple of years, starting a company, you take a bunch of different pivots, but 2017 is really where a lot of it turned, and I made the decision to start a podcast, the Digital Trade Show, and the whole goal of it was I noticed that there was a lot of great podcasts out there that are focused on practice management. What I realized is there was not a lot of podcasts out there focusing on the companies and showing the companies the love, and then also speakers, right? People that were out there that were doing CE courses and things like that. So that's where it all started, audio podcast, and then it has evolved now to what we know as DentalCast Productions, which is live event, live streaming, capturing content. I partnered with an amazing company, Steady Ready, here at the beginning of this year. We've been going to all these events, and now it's just been a wild ride, and here we are.
That's a lot. You did a really good job of getting that in. And hey, by the way, we have people saying, Crystal Susie, hey, welcome. Thanks for being here. She's saying hi. Hey, Katrina.
Hey, Katrina.
And we also have Ariana. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in and and saying hello. It looks like we've got more coming in as well. What I'm impressed with as I hear that is like you have such a well-rounded experience in dentistry. And having worked with the manufacturer side, worked with the dental team side, now work with the speaker and consulting side, and also, getting more meeting experience.
Yeah.
And I love that you woke up and had this idea that it's like you had this dream or revelation, but to become an entrepreneur. And what I love about that is that you saw how to pull all of that together into an opportunity, a niche, to be able to expand as an entrepreneur. Now, today we're talking to a lot of people that are also business owners that have seen and with their experience where they want to be able to, do more speaking and consulting and really want to be able to get more exposure and bring in those clients. And when you and I chatted about, your services and what you guys offer, it just occurred to both of us. I mean, that really there's a lot here where we can help our speaking and consulting colleagues know how can they maximize some of these types of services, whether they work with you or do it on their own. There's some real value there for some of the things. So why don't we start with the live streaming, what you do at DentalCast Production? What are some examples of how speakers and consultants could utilize that type of technology and that platform to grow as speakers and consultants? How could they grow their profit centers?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think there's value in putting on an event and having it live streamed for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's certainly just the promotional piece of making the decision to get yourself out there and build your brand. I think that's what's been so amazing about this journey that I've been on, is that the more you do it, the more you want to do it, and the more that you talk to people and they, I saw you here, I watched this, it's encouraging. It's like a feedback loop, and you realize, you know what, when you're out there as a speaker, you have a voice, you have something that you focus on that you want to talk about, and we have such great technology and such these great mediums now in order to be able to get the word out. It's unlike it never has been, in the past. And so I think one example would be like we've done some smaller events, bigger events where we'll showcase, for example, a CE course where, we will live stream and record the whole thing, and maybe snippets of it are live streamed on Facebook, but the majority of it is actually live streamed to a private page where then there can be virtual attendees that watch it. And so, certainly a lot of people ask me at the beginning of this, Vanessa, they're like, well, John, do you see things kind of going away from live events? Absolutely not, right? I mean, there's an online component, but there's no question, and we've seen this year, to go to all these live events and see the energy there and feel what it's like to network with people, it's the ultimate. And I think that certainly that's kind of where people are. But everybody's busy, and as we know, there's situations where you might draw a room of 50, and maybe there's 25 additional people that want to hear you, that you can get your word out. And so that's one piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is recording the content so that you can do several different things with it. You can use it as promotional for like your next event. You can use it to record the whole course. For example, a lot of people are going down the path of wanting to sell their content. I mean, when you think, Vanessa, about a lot of the people that are out there in our profession, they're out there speaking, they travel a lot. And how great would it be to maybe cut that schedule a little bit, and maybe go somewhere and capture their content and get it out to a lot of people. So, there's value on that side. I don't know, there's just something fun about being on camera, right? And it never fails. We go places and I have to sometimes get, hey, come on and do an interview, whatever the case may be. It's like, no. Lo and behold, you get them on camera and it's like everything changes. They share their why, they talk about what they do, and it's pretty awesome.
So I made some notes as you went there. I'd like to circle back on that. So a couple of three main points I took from that was the value in doing a live stream, which we're doing right now. Really, like there's so many different ways you can capture that. What we've seen you do around the country this year is go to like Hinman and Chicago and Yankee and different big meetings or smaller meetings. And in fact, you'll be at ADMC, I believe, right? Next week, Academy of Dental Management Consultants, a wonderful organization that John will be bringing, I think probably, I'm making some assumptions, she'll be bringing live some of the portions of that program.
Absolutely.
which is wonderful for the Academy. It's wonderful for those who are able to watch if they aren't able to be there. And it really helps showcase to the general audience what the Academy is about. And similarly, what we're saying is this is a way to really be seen as an influencer, as a speaker, right? So whether you're live casting from like a training session, or maybe if you do team retreats, it doesn't have to be the big meeting. No. It really could be. In fact, I think I saw you recently do something with a dental practice. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the things, certainly there's two tracks that we've been focusing on, and one is the events, and as we continue to grow that, it's been very exciting. And along the way, we've had dentists and team members that we've met that have said, hey, we'd love to do this in our dental practice, or if you guys come to dental practice and shoot, or marketing companies out there that are advising their practices to get video content, and then they're like, well, how are we going to capture it? So we saw that as an opportunity to do that content, and we thought we would do it with a bang, and we would do a 3 full day live stream. We did that with Dr. Jill Wade of Frisco, Texas, and Chris and Jordan and Grant and Zach, the team. They went out to Texas. They were there for, I will say they were there for like 5 days, because they spent the first 2 days spending time with Jill, getting testimonials on products. But Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, they live streamed all day. They had 7 cameras. They were in the operatories. Dr. Wade was able to get waivers from all the patients, which was amazing. I was like, we threw the idea out there that I was like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? But I will say this, and this is one thing that's very unique, Vanessa, about my team and what they've done, is that we do everything with iPhones and iPads and minimal equipment. Because what I've learned is that if we're going to get people to share their story, we've got to do it in a comfortable way. We've got to do it in a way where they don't feel like there's all this stuff all over the place. Yeah. We tend to intimidate people. Same thing in a dental practice. If we're going to go in and a patient is going to share their story, it was so important that they didn't even feel like the cameras were there. And so, my team is unbelievable, and that was a very exciting experience. What's funny from that is that Dr. Jill Wade said the amount of content that we got from that, she probably will have for 10 years. I don't know, that might be a drastic statement, but I think the point is that social media content, videos for her website, all that type of stuff, she's got so much to do now to promote what she does, which is really exciting.
And video really is king with content. I don't know. That's like how I see it. Would you agree? More than the written word or even the pictures out there. Pictures are awesome too, but video, it's going to capture us, especially in social media. So we talked about, capturing those events, those, sending it out live, but also the second point I heard in what you were sharing was that there's value in recording it, whether it goes live or not, and that you could turn around then and sell it. Or it makes me think about so many times speakers are looking for a demo video.
Yep.
So we have great opportunities at Jumpstart where you can be the competition, or you can do the showcase. It's like 6-minute or 10-minute, and then you have like a beginning, middle, and end, and we'll capture it, and that's a nice little video. It's so hard to get great video when it's not that format. If you're speaking for 3 hours or a keynote, even 45 minutes to a 90-minute, it's so hard. I've seen speakers spend thousands of dollars, and then the video content is just not good enough. The lighting's not right. And then it has to be all edited and put together. I love working with professionals like DentalCast Production, where your team goes to all these events. They understand that. You can see in the videos and the photos that they have an eye for what the potential attendee or the meeting planner would be looking for. So I want to float that out there as another option for capturing your presentations on video, would be to pull together a video of your presentations. I had a couple people just in the last months tell me that a meeting planner said, send me your demo. I'm hearing that more and more. For years, I've not worried about it too much, because like hardly anybody had a good video. Really. Hardly any demo speakers for many years have had really a good demo video. They might have a video.
Right.
But it might be, I've seen some ones that really don't market them well.
Yes. Yes. So
this is a great way for you to low cost to really be able to control the situation, to be able to create your own good quality demo video, which is more than just the production, I should say. It's really about what you're speaking about in that 5 to 10 minute video. it's not that we want it to be well lit. We want it to look good, like your production team would do, but it's also super important to highlight the right content, which is probably a whole other Facebook Live. But I just wanted to throw that out there as a nugget for our speakers that are listening, that it is becoming more and more important to have a really good demo video.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up the point of production versus authenticity, right? There was a day when it was all about the production and not so much about the authenticity.
Yeah.
Then we woke up one day, and what we realized was that people that were showing cat videos, so shout out to Vanessa, or things on YouTube, right, that got millions of views, and then there was obviously people trying to replicate like that. And what this phenomena that happened is how do I replicate authenticity? Well, there's only one way: just be yourself. And what happens is that now the technology will handle the production quality, right? I mean, it's like what still amazes me, and my team and I joke about it all the time, is everything that they do is on an iPhone. And we go places, and Vanessa, you and I have even talked about this. There's always this like initial thing like, oh, there's like this pause. Really? So you're going to do that on an iPhone, you know? And the only way that we could prove that the quality was good is if people gave us a chance to go to their meeting and to set the lighting and do those things. But what's most important, and this has been kind of like the final piece of this, is the questions, the interview, I love bringing out the best in people. I love asking questions that showcases the best of people, because when they can be authentic through video, the rest of it take care of itself. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
And this just keeps bringing up more good stuff. So we're talking about, you just wrapped in point 3 of what I heard earlier, which was like to have fun with it. It's fun to be on camera. And I thought too, really this does help showcase you as an influencer in the industry, which is what you're also just reminding us, is that that authentic piece of being out there, doing your thing, being you, sharing your content really does just help position you. Sometimes I hear people say, I like that word exposure, but there are some speakers who really bristle. Like, I don't want exposure. It's like they want the money, right? But I mean, I think realistically, you need that exposure in order to attract the clients, whether it's a meeting planner or whatever. And how wonderful that we can create our own exposure. Yes. We're not waiting for someone else to recognize us, that they can publish an article or something like that. You know, it's really, you can just be out there for free anytime doing your own Facebook Live video, or, you know, doing your own podcasting, doing your own, whatever all this is. So it's a really great way to be seen as an influencer, which all circles back into growing that business.
Yeah. And I think interesting along those lines, I mean, I had a conversation this morning with, an attorney who works with dental practices and stuff in Atlanta, Georgia, and we're going to be doing an event together and all that. And so we were kind of planning things out, but then we just got talking about DentalCast, and I was just talking about general things like you're asking me. And he said, John, I do 30 events a year. I speak all over the place. And it just hit me when you said that, like, I never record myself. You know, like I think about all these opportunities now where I have the opportunity to capture that. And he's like, if anything, for me to go back on Monday and watch myself, you know, like, what can I do to get better? Those types of things. But again, I think you bring up such a great point, which is if it's there, it doesn't matter. Like, take your phone, take anything. And I know Manal talks about this all the time. Like, just let people know that you're there. And so they see who you are. And it's such a great time to take advantage of all of this. It matters. It really does. It's crazy to me to think that I'll go somewhere now and be like, I see you here and I'll see you there. And I'm like, well, it matters. It absolutely matters.
It speaks to relationship and connection, doesn't it? Like, I asked you how the trash team is. Yeah. You know, it's like, and you make comments about my cats. Like, we get to know each other through social media. We get to know that authentic side. Yep. And as Dr. Paul Homily talked to us about, I've heard Paul speak so many times. I think it was this year at Jumpstart, where he talked about weaving those stories in that, like, where the human interest side is. It speaks to that same thing. Like, you can't go wrong in talking about a story with your dog in it, because so many people have and love dogs. It's just the same idea of just be you. Some people gravitate toward you, some people won't, and that's right. How it's going to be. And that's good.
Yeah, it's okay. And I think it's interesting too, like, as I've gone this path, and I've learned so much as I've interviewed people. I mean, that was kind of like my jump in the pool, which is just go interview. And I got to meet all these people. Mm-hmm. Through that process, what I learned is that what really matters is people's stories. It's their story, their why. It's how we buy things today. I mean, how many times, Vanessa, have you been in a situation where you watch somebody, you connect with them, and then as long as you're somewhat in the market for what they are going to sell or what they do, like, you're going to buy it. You're like, oh my God, like, I've connected with that person. I love what they stand for. I love who they are. And then the product becomes an afterthought as long as it fits with where you want. And that's a big shift. That is a huge shift. What we're dealing with, like you mentioned, is to kind of get over that of, it's okay to put yourself out there and build those relationships first, and to build that awareness and that influence. The rest of it will take care of itself. It really does.
I'd like to take this in just a little bit different direction. So we're talking about, but stay with the idea of the tech involved here, the video, the higher tech things that are available to everyone at at no cost through Facebook Live. So do you have tips? And I know you shared at Jumpstart with your early morning session on how people can do this on their own. Do you have some tech tips to show those who weren't at Jumpstart and those who are listening, and what can they do if they're like, yes, I know I need to do more of this. I know I want to do some Facebook Living. I can put it on my blog. I might shoot an email out from that. Like, they kind of see where that they can do, but they're like stuck with what comes next and what are the tools I use. Can you share this a little bit for if I don't want to call the plumber, if I want to install the garbage disposal myself?
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And you and I were just talking about this before we went live, which is, I love seeing all the different things that are popping up. See people doing their own lives and their own shows. I told Vanessa, I think that's what's so awesome about this, right? Everybody does it a little bit different. Everybody has their own flavor. We've kind of created this own little, dental media thing, and I love it. And I think, to your point, it's a couple of things. So I use a platform called Switcher Studio. That's what I use. There's a video chat that's a part of that. There's some other great ones out there. I know Vanessa uses Be Live, and there's things that are being built all the time. And I think, first of all, there's that. I think, getting yourself a good webcam makes a difference. Getting yourself a good microphone makes a big difference. And then your scenery, right? And kind of, lighting and all that type of stuff. I mean, for many of you that watched, I did my podcast, my video podcast in my basement for a long time. And my wife always kept saying, would you get let's get some new lighting, right? And it was like, you know what, you're right. Like, it was time. And then I met the team from Steady Ready, and they've kind of stepped up the game. But I think the point is, and you bring this up, Vanessa, is in the beginning, just do it, right? I mean, as long as the Wi-Fi is good, the internet's good, the audio is good, audio is crucial. I mean, I think we all know this. Like, we can scroll through something and video might be here and there. As long as people can hear you, I think that's a big difference. But there really are some simple things out there that people can do and ways. And Switcher Studio connects right with Facebook, as does Be Live. And what's really exciting, I think they're kind of in the beta stages with Switcher Studio, be able to connect to LinkedIn, which I think will be a big thing for a lot of people. I think a lot of people have connections on LinkedIn too. So there's a lot of
LinkedIn. Are you saying LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, yes.
Oh, that's
in the
interesting.
early stages of being able to live stream to LinkedIn. So
that's very cool. Yeah. And of course, we all met Mark Goeth at Jumpstart. Was there from Switcher Studio, which we really appreciate him making that trip. And Switcher is it's a huge platform for sure.
Well, and, because I am now sitting here. I've moved from my basement in all irony. I am now in Switcher's original office in downtown Louisville. So they were started in Louisville, Kentucky. They moved up to their office, and now I am in their original office with doing all my stuff. So it's kind of funny and surreal at the same time.
Oh, that is really surreal, isn't it? Who would have thought?
Yep.
Yeah. How fun. Okay, so we can get a good webcam, we get good audio, we figure out which platform we want to use.
Yep.
And then we get started. We start going live. We start getting out there, whether it be something like you and I are doing with an interview, or maybe we do our own. Here's what I want to circle around to, and here's where my brain's going. It's like, how do we showcase our other products and services? So we talked about, so for the speakers and consultants who are watching here that want to grow their business and they're trying to funnel business into certain profit centers, we talked about capturing events. Mm-hmm. So what are some ideas on how we could use some of this tech, whether we do it ourselves or we hire it, mm-hmm. to be able to showcase product and services? And I have one I'll start with. I have a course that can be a 3-hour course on the circuit.
Okay.
Or I can do what Mark LeBlanc would call a showcase. And in fact, we're doing one in Salt Lake City in a couple weeks. It's a no fee opportunity for people to come to my small workshop and learn how to be a speaker. Okay. So you think you want to speak? It's the same thing that I taught at Chicago Midwinter in February, and now people can fly to Salt Lake and for no fee spend the day and learn. I'm doing that with Vicki Peterson and Manal Sampat, by the way. I'll just throw in a little plug for that. Go to the Dental Speaker under seminars. You'll find out more information. So what I'm saying is repurposing our content. So we have a course of, like all the speakers do have courses. I want to get that out in front of potential buyers. And so I'm going to make it easy for them to come. So my right fit audience would be people who are dental professionals who want to do more speaking. Okay. So our people who are listening in know their right fit audience, like the dentist or the hygienist, and they would create their own, in this model, create their own little free or low cost seminar. I'm picturing how could we leverage that more other than just go and do this in Salt Lake City. It makes me think I could live stream from there and help it grow legs. Yep. You have some other ideas on that concept of what could we as speakers do to get more clients from those type of events and or other products and services? How could we showcase those?
Yeah, so you mentioned the first one, which is to have it done there and then grab all that content. I think what I've learned in an example like that, Vanessa, is that we take for granted how much content is available for promotion, like even in a 1-hour course, especially someone that's talking about something specific about what they do or what they focus on. When I think about Jumpstart, I think about all the people that are there and some of these events that we've done where we'll do 20, 22, 23 interviews. And then I go back and I watch all that. And I hear this, and it's like, oh my Lord. And I think what gets lost is that it's just what I did that day. It's not what I can do, because let's face it, right? We live in a world which is, I'm scrolling through my social media, tell me something in 60 seconds about you. Well, how do I do that, right? I mean, how do I go and keep up with that? Because that's the other challenge. And I tell people this all the time, committing yourself to this media focus is a lot of work. And it's not something that you just kind of jump in and out of. It really is something that if you're going to commit to do it, you want to do it. And the rewards are there. There's no question. But it's not something I've had people ask me a lot of times about podcasts and things like that. Like if you're going to do it, you got to do it, commit to it. Because as you know, Vanessa, you got to have a story. Like what makes you different? What are you going to talk about? Like you said, why do people want to hear from you? So I think the event itself, capturing content there, and even something like this. I mean, if somebody wanted to go ahead and go live, to their audience that maybe follow them on their Facebook page or what have you, and maybe have a weekly show where they maybe talk about one of the services that they provide. There really is a lot. I will say that it all comes down, it's still a production. What we're doing, and this from Jumpstart, I mean, you're sitting in there, like, you have your pre-meetings, you got to do the agenda. Like what we do now for a lot of these shows and all this live streaming stuff like that, or courses, it's a production when you add all this video into mixing. It really changes a lot. Mm-hmm. That answer your question? And my camera's...
And I'm worried that we have on my end, I can still hear you, but we're having maybe an internet issue. So I'm hoping that everybody's still able to see. But it just, whoops, we lost John for just a minute, I think. So I think John will be coming back in here shortly. And I'll keep going on this topic. A thought I had around this with showcasing our own presentations, whether we're hired to speak on the circuit or whether we're offering our own self-sponsored seminar, would be exactly what John was just referring to is, here comes John. Hey, welcome back.
As we're talking about technical, right? This happens.
I knew you'd be right back. And I was just piggybacking on what you were saying. You took it exactly where I was thinking of going. And the idea would be you could create your own, like if you took that 3-hour workshop, you could break it down into multiple little chunks. You could do short little Facebook Lives. You could put that on your blog. You could shoot it out in email, like how people used to do newsletters. And let me get you back in here fully. Okay. There's something in my mind I keep thinking about, and then it keeps coming in and out, and it will go, oh, I know what I wanted to mention. I think it's really super important when we do these is that that what we focus on, what we share is about a solution to their problem.
Right.
So when we start chunking down our content into these little pieces, or if we're going to, pull together a little promo for our showcase seminar that we're doing, we be sure that we, to help you narrow in on that right fit client, you need to know what keeps them up at night, and how do you solve it with this content and lead with that.
Yep.
So I just want to make sure we throw that. It says, John is fabulously frozen, but he is no longer fabulously frozen.
We're good?
Yeah. Hey, he's moving out. Yeah, got it. Okay, so that's some really good stuff, really good tips. Can we think of anything as far as we've really hit like events and training and live stuff? Is there any way that we could use this kind of technology to help highlight products?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, give me an example if you can of a product.
Maybe a book.
A book. Okay. So there's one way to do it. We could, like we were in school, we could go live and take the book and flip it page to page and read it. Probably going to be a little boring. Or maybe we go in there and we take 3 chapters from the book. And maybe you do one live where it would be on today's episode, we're going to go ahead and actually, hit some high points from this chapter of my book. And like you said, it's built around the problem that they identify that they're trying to solve for their audience, that they're trying to help. And so they go in there and they pull those 3 chapters from their book. And I'm a big fan of creating episodes. I think that what I've learned is that with a lot of this, it's continuity. If you're going to do this, is why I talk a lot about commitment, because you got to commit to it all the time. It's like, it's easy as you get busy to say, no, this could come up or this could come up. But in the case of a book, if you identify 3 chapters and the first episode is going to be chapter 5, talking about a subject, and you come on the next week and you do another chapter next week. And as each one, Vanessa, what do you have on there? The link that goes right to your website where they can go ahead and actually they can get that book. But it's an educational way, right, to showcase some key things from your book. Not the whole thing. They see you, they see the authenticity, they kind of see your passion about it, resonates, got to have it, got to read the book. Just
love. You are such a brainstormer. You know what I mean? It's like I throw anything at you, you'll be able to go hit it back. I just love that, seriously, because we've had some great conversations over the last year or 2.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like I knew you'd be able to have something for that. I've added up here, I'm having a little trouble technologically wise, guys. I'm sorry, with my subtitles are not always wanting to cooperate, but I do have up here, while I have it, let me point out the best way to reach John at DentalCastProductions.com. That is not what I intended to put up, but that's what we got up there. Yeah. And I also want to put up here, your Facebook for DentalCast Productions. Let's see if we can get that up here as well.
Camera again. Hold on here. There we go. Let me come back in.
Oh. All right. I think so. I can get Facebook at DentalCast Productions up here, and we'll get them all. I might just even skip it. Okay. You're quick on that off and on business. All right. So let's change gears a little bit.
Yeah.
DentalCast Productions is one of your children, one of the things that you love and nurture. CE Exchange Dental. We know CE Exchange from last year's Jumpstart, where you guys offered CE credit to our participants, and that will be happening again at this year's Jumpstart.
Yep.
But tell us a little more about CE Exchange. Like, what are the services they offer there, and why are those important to the speakers listening?
Yes. So, continuing education, right, Vanessa? How many conversations have you and I had about this? Demystifying it, the difference between what my state board says I have to get versus development. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff. But one of the areas that, in a very simple way, that I wanted to go down was there were a lot of people out there that were presenting and speaking and providing very, very valuable content. And it was, how can we be certified as a company to be able to then, the word is sponsor, but it really is accreditation of that course, so that anybody that attends gets one of those fancy certificates and they hold on to that. And certainly if they ever get audited by their board, they know that that course was approved by a company that has to go through all the audit processes that we do with AGD in order to be able to sponsor and certify that course. So that really was was a big piece, as you're talking about specifically for your speakers, was to offer that service. I mean, it's great for someone to say, hey, I'm going to go speak, but there's always that appeal that if my audience could get continuing education from this, there's always that extra level of maybe interest or attendance that comes about. So that's one of the big things that, we've been offering and helping people with, especially here this last 18 months.
Yes. And an important point is that speakers typically don't have to do this, right? I mean, because most of the time meeting planners will carry the responsibility of providing CE. Yep. But here's the thing. I mean, it shows you as a professional. It shows you as somebody who's out there doing this. If meeting planners will ask you, does this qualify for CE? If you're able to say, I know it does because I have my own certification. I mean, it just makes you easier to work with. It just showcases you really as somebody who's been doing this a while and who has really quality programs. So while you don't have to go this route, there will be times when the meeting is small enough that they can't offer their own CE and they want someone who is able to offer that. And it's just not that time consuming or that expensive anymore, where it just totally makes sense to invest in the future of your business by elevating your programs, by being certified. So I love that you brought this to the market. It was really new and a different solution that your company has offered, and it's been really valuable and well received. I know by many of my clients have shared with me how excited they are to be able to work with you and offer this. Because for years it was something people were like, oh my gosh, I've heard it's just a nightmare, but it's not anymore. So thank you.
Yeah, it's not. And I think that's the whole goal of this, right? I mean, I learned a lot of this working with you as I've met a lot of people and a lot of these speakers, is there's so many things that you all have to manage, right? Your schedule and your events, your presentation and all of that, the business part of what you do, which you teach so well. And that is that, well, what about my continuing education? And we handle that, right? I mean, we make sure that the certificates are there, the evaluations, all the things. I mean, certainly we have to make sure that we handle all of our stuff, for our own records, and that kind of raises the integrity of all of it. And I think what I have shared with people, Vanessa, is that I've tried to position myself in the last couple of years is that if you have a continuing education question, just call me. Like, if I don't know the answer, I have found myself in this world as a way to connect people with maybe the right people to, if anything, give direction. Because, I mean, I have worked with ADA and AGD, the American Association of Dental Boards, and state dental boards, and have kind of learned all the ins and outs about this. And there's a lot of things that people know and a lot of things that people don't know. So I'm here to kind of demystify that if you need help.
Oh, I love that. And this would be a good time to remind people, John at DentalCastProductions.com is the way to get a hold of John. There was something else I was thinking of. There's just so many great thoughts around CE. It's not as hard to get your course certified as I thought, too. Like originally I thought, well, I don't know if this would really qualify, but one thing I love about your expertise, John, is you really understand like with the different states and like how every state's different, and that was really news to me. And so something that might qualify in Kentucky might not in Utah, or vice versa.
Right.
And so there's a lot of variables. So be sure you reach out to John to find out more about how that works. So, John, we got to be wrapping up here in the next few minutes. So is there anything that we haven't talked about that you feel would be really important for the speakers and consultants in our audience to know? Is there something, a pain point, a challenge that they might be having that we haven't chatted about that you could share a solution for?
Yeah, so having the opportunity to interview people, speakers, go to these events and what have you, that's kind of been what I've been doing. And, I watch from afar. I'm like, wow, how cool would it be to actually get up on stage and speak? I've gone to this event and so on and so forth. But I knew that it was going to have to be a topic that I was very passionate about. And I think, in very simple, short terms, and that's a kind of wrap here, it's, unscheduled treatment is something in dental practices that has been a passion of mine. I've dealt with it in several different occasions in my career when I've worked with the dental practices and was asked to help those practices grow. And that's the first place I knew where to go. It blew my mind why we were so focused on new patients when there's all these patients that need care. They're within the four walls of the practices. They already know you, they trust you, whatever the case may be. So I'm putting together the pieces right now as we wrap 2019 again into 2020 to get out there on the speaking circuit and talk about that and be controversial if I have to, right? Not in a negative way, but like, hey, listen, I think all of us in the dental profession, there's so much more collaboration going on. Let's find ways to get this unscheduled treatment squared away. And so as I was kind of going down this path, I had somebody say to me, that's great, John. And it might have actually been you, Vanessa. It was like, okay, what if you get their attention and they want a solution, right? Are you going to go out and consult? I'm like, no, I'm not going to go do it. So what are you going to do? So I have recently connected with a dentist and a hygienist, soon of which many of you will know. We've already kind of put a little of the information out there. And our whole focus together is that when a practice wants help on getting some of that unscheduled treatment done, that's what we're going to do. Both they're going to go into the practice, work as coaches and consultants, and only focus on that. Pull the unscheduled treatment list from the practice and have them both, as very successful clinicians, go in and work with the clinical team on getting that treatment done. There's a lot of other things in a dental practice that coaches and consultants work on to help the processes and things like that. That's not where we're going to focus. We're going to focus on this very specific piece that I'm very passionate about. I know they're very passionate about. And if we can make a difference there, I think it changes a lot in regards to care, all kinds of things. So that's what's next.
That's fun. Thank you for dripping that out, and you'll keep us on the edge of our seats waiting to learn more. And can I also, put a different hat on besides just the listener here, but like kind of step into the side here and think what you just modeled for us is a couple things. You modeled how important collaboration and networking is, how important it is to listen to your gut and what you're passionate about. And also you just also gave us a little bit of a marketing example of like how to drip something out and keep people wanting more, so I hope you don't mind me dissecting it down that way, but I think it's important for us speakers to recognize what we can do. It's so easy to be able to, this was a topic, it sounds like that you're passionate about, but it really didn't fit with your model right now to go do that consulting. You found a great solution for that, to be able to partner with some people who are really well respected and be able to, as a team, have a bigger footprint. Just love, love, love. I can't wait to hear more about that. And I hope you'll circle back with us in our DSI Facebook group and let us know more about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, anything else we need to talk about today? Are we good?
I just, listen, I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm usually on the other side of the microphone. So I'm going to say thank you to you. I'm going to say thank you to you for what you're doing. When I look at, we've talked about this a couple of times, when I look at where things have gone for me and my company, a big reason is because of you. A big reason is because, you took the time, a couple of years ago to have me out and so on and so forth. So I appreciate you a lot. And I think you're doing amazing work. And I think, this year I know it's going to be your biggest jumpstart ever. And kudos to you. You deserve it.
Thank you so much, John. And, honestly, so much of what is happening in a great way for Jumpstart is because of all the wonderful people involved. And you certainly are one of them. And you've elevated our game. And I'm so excited to see you at Jumpstart in January. Of course, at ADMC next week. But at Jumpstart, as you all who are listening in, who are going to be there with us, be sure you stop by John's table. Be sure you stop by and say hey to him. He is a sponsoring partner with us. He's helping us, help us make this meeting the best that it can be. We want to be out there on the edge technologically, and so we're going to do some new and fun things. And I'm going to drip in that there'll be more announced later in the year around some things we're doing with video there as well, which I think will be pretty exciting. But thank you so much for supporting Jumpstart and everything that we're doing, and especially so many of our meeting planners and speakers that were there at Jumpstart now have had you to their meetings or to record their content, and they're thrilled. So this is how we do it. We support each other. Absolutely. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for your comments. We'll come back out here and it's hard for me on Be Live. This is a little aside about Be Live. It's hard to see who's commenting. I don't know if Switcher's better at that, but I just see comments. I can't really see who. So we'll go there and we'll respond to you. But if you have any questions for John at DentalCastProductions.com. A reminder to everyone, jumpstart2020.com. We are 3/4 of the way to sold out. And so you're going to want to not wait. Early Bird is the discount code, all one word. Early Bird will save you $300. It makes your registration $1,800, January 9 through 11, 2020. And the website is Jumpstart 2020. dentalspeaker.com. If you have questions, info at the Dental Speaker. And until next time, thanks again, John, for being here. It was a whole lot of fun. And thank you all for listening in. Be well, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Vanessa.